Well done, fellas. Europa League semi-finalists. It's so close. We can almost taste it. I can feel those coefficient points raining down on Iceland. We've just got one more game to make the final, and that will be a success. Okay, let's go out there and make our second European final. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 94 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode is the semi-final of the Europa League. We take on Sporting of Portugal to try and earn our way into our second European final of this save and our first Europa League final. So if you are looking forward to this one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this Build a Nation save, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But a big episode today, trying to make the Europa League final for the first time. If you did miss the quarterfinal at the end of last week against Ajax, I will leave a link to that over in the top right corner. But before we do get into this tie against Sporting and do a little bit of a preview of this one, we have actually played two domestic games since the end of last week, and both of them were for silverware. So we'll show you guys the highlights from both of those games. The first of those was the Super Cup. This was against HK at our home ground, and we got off to a decent start in this one around the 20-minute mark. Petrovic putting a ball in there to Mariano. We did play our backup team for this game off the back of those Ajax games, and they did do a good job. And then 5 minutes before halftime, it was the exact same combination. Petrovic slotting through Mariano, and we do go 2-0 up at halftime. And then we did really seal things with 10 minutes left. It was a really poor bit of play at the back there from HK, and Chaka Traore slots that into the bottom right corner, 3-0 up inside the last 15 minutes. They did get a goal back inside the last 10 minutes. One of our former players there, Ben Musa, tried to slot through Thomas on, and then Husavik, our new goalkeeper, with a little bit of a poor pass there, it's fair to say. Thankfully, didn't cost us too much, and we do lift the Super Cup trophy to pick up our first one of the domestic season. And right off the back of that, we did have a deal to Bakar final, putting out the first choice 11 for this one, again at home, this time against Keflavik. Took a little bit longer for us in this one to open the scoring, but 10 minutes shy of half-time, Galtason putting a ball over the top there for Fredrik Larsson to stab home, and only 2 minutes later, Paolo on the end of a Nygaard corner, and we did take a 2-0 lead into half-time. In fact, it was actually one more, because right on the stroke of half-time, somehow Fredrik Larsson got that through the goalkeeper there for Keflavik. So we had a 3-0 lead at half-time. We did concede with about 5 minutes to go. Nice ball over there for one of our former players through the youth intakes here at the club in Agilson, but not too long off the back of that, right on the brink of full-time, we absolutely sealed it, and it was Fredrik Larsson scoring this yet again for Fabio Mariano, our backup striker, in a very good vein of form, and we pick up a 4-1 win. We reclaim the deal to Bakar after missing out on it last year. We knocked out in the semi-finals by Breda Blix. So two quite convincing victories there, and we already have a domestic double heading into this Europa League semi-final. Hopefully that gives us a good boost of confidence to kick on and maybe pick up this competition as well, albeit if we do go back and have a look at the other semi-final, there is the rather large obstacle that's probably going to stand in our way there in Liverpool. They do take on Red Bull Salzburg, and hopefully we can at least match what Salzburg do in that semi-final, because having a little bit of an updated look at the coefficient, it has actually been, because of the efforts there of Salzburg, quite a good year for Austria. We'll just scroll down a little bit. They weren't a nation I was considering as one that could overtake us in this season, but they have had a very good season thanks to the work of Salzburg, and aren't too far behind us in terms of the coefficient. They are going to jump up into that spot behind us at the end of last season, but so far making the semi-finals of the Europa League has actually proven quite important. Otherwise, Austria probably would have overtaken us, and we would be staying down in 15th spot where we expected that we would be, but at the moment does still look like we are going to be jumping up to 14th spot, depending on what happens for the rest of this Europa League campaign. Turkey not completely out of sight if we can somehow pull off a win in the final of this competition, should we make it that far. But we are taking on Sporting of Portugal. They are another 4-star reputation club. They are predicted to finish second in the domestic league, currently third in the Portuguese league. If we ever look at the table, they are behind Benfica and Porto, but those three teams a long way clear of anyone else in that Portuguese league. And they are, as I said, a 4-star reputation club. Having a look at some of the players on their books, Thiago Tomas up front is one of the more familiar names in that squad. They've got Vinagre at left back and Rui Silva in goal, but not too many players there that should scare us too much compared to the opposition that we have had to get past so far in this Europa League run. Hopefully, we can beat these guys and, as I said, make our way into our first Europa League final, even if it is going to be a tough matchup against Liverpool, provided that, as expected, they do get past beat Salzburg. A little bit of a club update before we do get into this game as well. Finally, we've gone up to 3-star reputation. Not quite sure why it took so long. Maybe it's this Europa League run which is helping, but we have now moved up to 3-star reputation, and a few more things to get out of the way before this first league. We are dealing with a few injuries and suspensions, unfortunately, coming off the back of that tie against Ajax at the end of last week. Zimmerman out for 2 to 3 months. He's gone for the rest of this European season and potentially for the start of our next Champions League qualifying one as well. And added to that, Serdan Dedic sprained knee ligaments. He's out for 4 to 7 weeks. That's one of our backup centre-backs, also missing for probably the rest of this European season. If we go over to the tactics page and make our way down a little bit further, both Thiago Polo and Ian Carlo are suspended. So we are really testing our depth at centre-back in this first leg of this tie, coming up against Sporting away from home. But we do have a pretty good replacements there in Corbo and Petrovic in the starting 11, and it does mean that Bedrzicki comes onto the bench. Not an ideal substitute. Ideally, we would have Dedic as our backup centre-back, but still a decent one, and Jorge will cover left-back. Chatzakis can cover both right-back and left-back, so he's more of our right-back substitution in this game instead of Petrovic, as would usually be the case with Ian Carlo being suspended. But apart from that, with the injuries and whatnot considered, it is our first choice 11 apart from that right back and centre back switch. And we will come back shortly for the first leg of the Europa League semi-final. We take on Sporting in Portugal at the ground, which is going to host the Europa League final this season. And here are the team sheets for this first league. Here is the Sporting lineup. A few little changes from what we did see before on the club info page, most notably Bragança in the midfield. He is a very good midfielder on their books. Was not aware that he was at their club, but there's our lineup as we ran through before. Hopefully get a decent result here away from home to take back to Iceland for the second leg. 5 minutes gone. First highlight of the semi-final first leg is a throw in our favour, albeit we are having to play out from deep inside our own half. We are in the black, and it is Sporting in the white tops with the black shorts so far. 3 shots in their favour, none for us. They have been well and truly on top of us in the early stages, but an interception there from Fredrik Larsson. Can we do something off the back of it? Caviglia chips the goalkeeper, and it is 1-0 Völsungur against the run of play on the 6-minute mark. That could be a crucial goal in the semi-final tie. Any goals away from home, we will take. It's a very soft pass there. Fredrik Larsson gets on the end of it, and then Rubio to Caviglia from the top of the circle outside the box, chips Rui Silva in goal. 1-0 Völsungur after 6 minutes of the first leg of the semi-final. And all the way up to the 39-minute mark for our next highlight, this time a throw-in for Sporting. Very similar position to where we scored from our first one in the first highlight that we did see. They are still well on top of us stats-wise, but that does not matter at the moment, as it is 1-0 in our favour. But Galtason there with a potential own goal, albeit I suspect someone down that right-hand side might have just been offside there for Sporting. It did look like they were a bit in behind our defence there, and thankfully the goal has been disallowed, so Galtason's own goal will not count. It is Santos who is offside, as you can see there, quite considerably as well from that pass from Toure. So we do hold on to our 1-0 lead 5 minutes shy of half-time. And that is half-time in this one. Not many highlights in that first half, but we do have a 1-0 lead away from home. That could be very important if we can hold on to this going into the home league. You can tell by the stats there, Sporting have definitely had the better of things in terms of this first half, but highlights-wise, we did get that goal at the 6-minute mark, and their best chance did come from an offside position, so fairly happy with how this is going. Hopefully we can just improve a little bit in the second half and potentially take a lead into the home league, which would be massive for our chances of making the Europa League final. And 10 minutes into the second half, we do have our first highlight of the half, and we are playing out from the back here from a goal kick. Ciarafellini does find Patrick Nygaard up to Benjamin Rubio, and we look to get something going here on the attack. Can we get a nice cushion goal early in the second half? Patrick Nygaard plays that for Caviglia, got a goal in the first half, but Galtason runs onto that. Yet another goal from outside the box. He makes up for that near own goal in the first half. That is an absolute screamer into the bottom left corner, and exactly what we were after. We are now 2-0 up away from home. If we can just hold on to this, we would have 1 foot in the door of the Europa League final already. That's a wonderful strike from Galtason. Caviglia gets an assist to go alongside his goal, and we are 2-0 up, albeit a couple of substitutions from Sporting off the back of that goal, and they do have a highlight immediately from the kickoff. Hopefully not an immediate reply. That would be a bit of a bitter blow, but so far 2-0 in our favour, despite being against the run of play. Good shot there from Bragança. They do give away a free kick there from being offside. Good save from Ciarafellini. We remain 2-0 up at the hour mark of the first leg away from home. And up to the 64-minute mark now, we are going to make our first substitution. Fredrik Larsson just struggling ever so slightly out there on the left-hand side on a 6.4. Chaka Traore to come on for him. And now up to the 71-minute mark, we are going to make our second substitution. Benjamin Rubio playing decently on a 6.9, but down to a red heart and informed Fabio Mariano to come on for him, still 2-0 up. And now up to the 74-minute mark, time for us to make our last substitution. A few players on red hearts, but Patrick Nygaard also on a 6.4 rating. In terms of our bench options, I think Porstein Arnason might be the best option on right wing for the rest of this game, but only 15 minutes or so left, and we still hold a 2-0 lead away from home. And very shortly off the back of that substitution, we do have a free kick, looking for someone there at the far post, but Sporting do deal with it, but we are still inside their final third. Can we make it 3-0? That would be absolutely superb going back to Iceland with that scoreline, but Thiago Tomas there does get the ball off us. It's a little bit sloppy from us there out on the right-hand side, but a poor clearance there from the goalkeeper. We are back on the attack. Caviglia tries to pick out a fresh Chaka Traore. Can't do so because the Sporting defence do intercept that. I believe it was from Toure just on the ball there, and they do look to launch something here on the counter-attack somewhat. Bragança out to Vinagle on the left-hand side. Starts to make his way inside the box, and Milos Petrovic brings him down. Absolutely no debate about that one. Hopefully it doesn't prove too costly, but we have given Sporting a way back into this one. We had a fairly comfortable 2-0 lead despite being outplayed stats-wise in this one, and we give them a chance from the penalty spot there with 14 minutes left. Despayo is able to slot that straight down the middle. In fact, his name is Iscayo. Got the G mixed up with the P, but nonetheless, pretty soft penalty given away there by Milos Petrovic, as I said. Hopefully it doesn't prove too costly. Sporting back in this one. 2-1 lead to us, and it is away from home. And with 7 minutes left, we are inside the opposition half with a throw-in of our own. Can we get that 2-goal advantage back, or will it remain 2-1, or will Sporting potentially strike level? We try and play a ball up there for Fabio Mariano. It's a poor clearance from their goalkeeper, but they do keep the ball there and look to launch yet another counter-attack here. Sporting, have they just got a little bit of a confidence boost off the back of that penalty that was given away by Petrovic? A good interception there from Alejandro Meza, though, and we do look to play out from the back, albeit doing a decent job of pressing us here. Sporting, we play a ball deep. Chaka Traore can't quite get on the end of it, despite the missed header initially there by Toure, and Sporting will look to play out from the back yet again. This is a long highlight, which is a little bit worrying. Roca makes his way down the left, hopefully not a penalty again in a similar position to the first one. Vinagle to Bragança, and they do get an equaliser, and we have collapsed here in the space of 10 minutes. We were looking oh so comfortable with about 20 minutes left. We've just fallen apart late in this one a bit. We've got a lot of players out there on red hearts. Maybe that's the issue, but good passing inside the box. Bragança stabs that home into the top right corner, and we've blown a 2-0 lead. It is now 2-2 with 5 minutes left of the away leg. And up to the 87-minute mark here, it's a free kick for Giovanni. Forces a decent save there out of Ciarafellini. Thankfully, the goal scorer from the penalty does take that out of play and it is still 2-2 as we're about to enter injury time in this one. And entering the last few minutes of added time in this one, it does look like it is going to finish as a 2-2 draw. If you offered that to me before the game, I definitely would have taken it, but after being 2-0 up early in the second half there, it does feel like a missed opportunity, albeit I still think we might be in the stronger position going back to Iceland for that second leg, but we certainly could be in a much stronger position. Those 2 late goals could prove very important to our chances of trying to make this Europa League final. We picked up a few late yellow cards there, albeit I don't think that's going to impact things suspension-wise. We should be back at full strength, starting 11-wise, for that second leg back in Iceland, but that could have been a lot more comfortable going back to our homeland. Unfortunately, though, 2 late goals in Sporting are right back in this one, 2-2 as we do go into the second leg back in Iceland. We'll just get through this team talk and see what happened on the other side of the draw in the semi-final between Liverpool and RB Salzburg. And it was a goalless draw. That's why we got no updates about that in the bottom left corner behind my face. So that tie is certainly still up for grabs, but you'd expect Liverpool at home there to certainly still have the advantage. They're probably still the favourites to be making the final and to be winning it, but that's not a bad result away from home, albeit certainly could have been nicer considering the position that we were in early in that second half. And we'll come back shortly and run through the team sheets for that crucial second leg back in Iceland. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. We are back to full strength with injuries considered. Both Ian Carlo and Thiago Polo are back at the back for us. Hopefully that improves our defence and we don't concede late goals like we did in the first leg. Sporting looking pretty similar to how they did line up in that first leg in Portugal at the venue of the Europa League final. Hopefully we can go back there off the back of this and make our way through to our first Europa League final. We do have a highlight immediately from the kickoff. We are in our usual green home uniform, and it is Sporting in the lime green with the black trim. And it's an early chance here for Rubio into the bottom right corner. A potential assist there from Frederick Larsson, but was he offside? That would be a brilliant start from us to get a 1-goal advantage back in this one, but unfortunately the goal has been disallowed. We'll just have to wait and see how close this one was. We can't see Rubio on camera, but that does look very close, very debatable, that one, but the goal has been ruled out and it remains locked up here 1 minute into the second leg. And up to the 3-minute mark now, so some early highlights happening in this one. It is a goal kick in our favour, looking to play out from the back. Hopefully this time we can put the ball in the back of the net legally, albeit that first one was very debatable. Couldn't quite see Benjamin Rubio from the camera angle that we were using here, but it was a very close call. Unfortunately, VAR did decide to rule that one out. There's a great chance here though for Frederick Larsson. Tried to put that in the bottom left corner, comes off the upright, goes out for a throw-in. 2 good early chances for us, which is encouraging, but still locked up early here in the second leg. And all the way up to the 41-minute mark for our next highlight is a goal kick, which we do take short, playing out from the back. Caviglia back to Galtason. We nearly do lose possession there. Thankfully, we do keep it and look to get something going here from the back. But so far, Sporting with a good press. But there's a nice ball over the top there for Benjamin Rubio inside the opposition half. Can we get something going and put the ball into the back of the net to get an advantage back after blowing it late? In that away leg, Benjamin Rubio tries to chip the goalkeeper, goes just over the bar and just shy of half-time. It does remain 0-0. And here's half-time here in the second leg of this Europa League semi-final. We are certainly edging things more than we were in the first leg, but haven't found the back of the net just yet. But all the highlights so far have been in our favour. An update from the other game, it is 2-1 to Liverpool at half-time, but we are still locked up here heading into the last 45 minutes of our semi-final. And up to the 53-minute mark, we have our first highlight here of the second half. It's a throw-in inside the final third here of Sporting. We just knock things about here on the right-hand side. Thiago Polo to Caviglia. He was very good for us in that first leg. Nygaard to Rubio. Can he slot him through? He tries to lift that into the top left corner, just wide, and we are still locked up here 10 minutes into the second half. And up to the 64-minute mark for our next highlight. We are on the attack yet again. We have shifted to a higher tempo to try and break the deadlock. Galtason tries to score another screamer from outside the box, but forces a good save there from Rui Silva in goal for Sporting. We do have a corner. Nygaard puts it into the mix of Paulo's header, goes just over the bar, and off the back of that highlight, we are going to make our first substitution. Patrick Nygaard, yellow card, red heart. I think of the options on the bench, I think Chaka Traore might just be the most suitable for the remainder of this game. We'll leave Anason on there for now as a midfield backup, but Chaka can go to left wing. Frederick Larsen out to right wing, still locked up here with 25 minutes left. And up to the 70-minute mark, we're going to make our second substitution. Caviglia down to a red heart. Porstein Anason to come on for him. And now up to the 75-minute mark, we are going to make our last substitution. Frederick Larsen not doing much better out on that right wing than he was on the left wing. Of the options left to us on the bench, I think we're going to try a bit of an informed Fabio Maliano out on the right wing. Usually plays up front, but can do a decent job there out on the right-hand side. So he will be our last substitution. 15 minutes left as we do look for a goal to send us to the Europa League final. Only 4 minutes left of the second leg of this Europa League semi-final, still locked up, and we have a late highlight. Galtason does flick that back to Serafini as Sporting were looking at mounting a late challenge, and hopefully we can do something here on the counter-attack, a bit of passing across the line, but thankfully we do get the ball back there through Goffey after a poor pass there from Serafini, and we do get possession back, play it back to him, but he gets it forward to Duplisco, and we look to get something going here down the left-hand side. Can we score a late goal to send us to the Europa League final? Chaka Traore makes his way forward down the left-hand side. And for Anason, can he pick out Mariano into the bottom right corner? Was he onside? Please be onside. That would be a massive goal for the young 19-year-old. What a moment that could be for him early on in his Völsungur career. And the goal is awarded. Fabio Maliano gives us a 1-goal advantage late in the Europa League semi-final. Good work down the left-hand side there from Chaka Traore. It's a lovely pass from Anason and Maliano. A lot of our substitutes combining for that one, and we do take a 1-0 lead entering the last few minutes of the semi-final. We will certainly slow down the tempo off the back of this and hopefully hold on to make our way through to the Europa League final. And we are in amongst the 5 minutes of injury time here. Can we hold on to this lead that we did get late through young Fabio Maliano? He may just become a club icon at a very early stage because he scores the goal which sends us through to our first Europa League final in this save, our second European final. And thankfully those goals that we did concede late in that first leg away from home don't prove too costly, and we do get to go back to Portugal, to Sporting's home stadium, to play the Europa League final. In tomorrow's episode, we'll just go forward a little bit off the back of this one to make sure we know who our opponents are for that final. But that was a game that we certainly dominated. Thankfully, we did get the goal, even though it did take us a fair while to get it, thanks to that bench impact from quite a few of our players linking up for that goal that we did score. But the goal scorer in the end, Fabio Maliano, in a rich vein of form, the young 19-year-old Italian striker, sends us through to the Europa League final, and that final is going to be against Liverpool. They did hold on for a 2-1 win there, the halftime score staying that way for the second half. A late red card there to Salzburg, not helping their chances. So coming up in tomorrow's episode, it will be the Europa League final, Völsungur versus Liverpool. And back in the inbox off the back of that win, thanks to that late Fabio Maliano goal. And as I said, that does earn us a return trip to the home ground of Sporting in Portugal. Hopefully that might give us a slight advantage over Liverpool, having just recently played at that stadium. But nonetheless, we get a nice little payday for making the Europa League final and for playing in the semi-final. And we have a matchup coming up in tomorrow's episode against Liverpool as we do look to win our first bit of European silverware in this save, albeit that is going to be an extremely tough ask against a team as good as Liverpool. Interesting to see their reputation, only 4.5 stars. That's exactly the same as Valencia, who we did take on in the first knockout round. But you look at that Liverpool team, that is a heck of a lot stronger than the Valencia team that we did take on in the first knockout round. Thomas Tuchel is their manager these days. They do still have Mohamed Salah, Alisson, Fabinho at the back, as well as Trent, but they have added some real quality to that team. They've got Harry Kane, Brahim Diaz, Marcos Antonio, Giovanni Reina. They've got Liuzu and Oko at the back alongside Fabinho. Not too sure about those guys, or Carlson who is their left back, but on the whole, that does look like a very, very good Liverpool team, and we will be up against it in the Europa League final tomorrow, but we have done very well to make our second European final of this save, and hopefully we can catch them on an off day and pick up our first bit of European silverware in this save. And of course, with us making a European final, we will also do the end of European season roundup in tomorrow's episode as well, and hopefully we can potentially maybe just sneak up a little bit further than we were expecting in the coefficient rankings. Maybe we could sneak above someone like Turkey into 13th place instead of the 14th above Denmark that we were expecting. And a good thing about Liverpool making the final, it should halt Austria's progression to try and catch us up on that coefficient table as well. But that is what you got to look forward to in tomorrow's episode, our second European final of the save, as we do take on Liverpool for the Europa League. But that will do it for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for the Europa League final against Liverpool and the end of European season roundup, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.